My name is John Brink, and we are podcasting on the Brink from central British Columbia, Canada. And for all those people watching us from around the world and saying, oh, we know where Canada is in British Columbia on the West Coast, right? Right. And we are in the center of British Columbia. Today we have got a very, very interesting guest. His name is Dr. Braxton Nguyen. And Dr. Braxton is a chiropractor. He owns a clinic and a passion for advocates in natural healing with more than 2 decades hands-on experience in patients' care. He's the founder of Access Health Centers with locations in Portland and Beaverton, Oregon. And the other part about Dr. Braxton is that interesting bio, because it's not only that he is a chiropractor, but he is also a CBP, which means that he did not only study he studied at the University of Western States, and after his studies, he took other specialties: whiplash, biomechanics, and brain surgery, trauma certificate of biophysics practical certification. I have difficulty with some of the words and credentials in spinal trauma, brain injury, and a whole lot of other things. Dr. Braxton, an amazing background that you have. Tell us about it. And I understood that you had already challenges yourself, in particular with your knee and your legs, that made you go into natural medicine and became a chiropractor. Tell us about that. How did it evolve, and what brought you to the university, that then where you studied in Portland and Beaverton?
Yes, so I appreciate you asking that. So my journey started when I was in high school. As a junior in high school in 1995, I was in multiple sports and in high school, and one of them was in track and field. So I did the 4x1 relay, and during that season, when the track and field season just started, I ran what's called the first leg of the 4x1 relay. And when you do these short sprints, you're going 100% speed. You're trying to win the race, right? So during that time, when I ran with the first leg, my body kept going forward as I'm trying to turn my upper body to the right, passing the baton to the next racer or the next leg. And at that moment in time, I heard a loud pop. I limped over, and sure enough, my right knee ballooned up the size of both knees within 10 minutes. And I knew something was wrong. So my my trainer, the school trainer during that time, said, just rest here. We need to evaluate your knee. And ultimately, we had an MRI of the right knee, and they diagnosed it as having what's called a full rupture of the anterior cruciate ligament, or the ACL ligament.
That ligament that kind of keeps it in place, kind of thing.
Absolutely, that's actually the most important ligament within your knee, because it's the stabilizer.
Right.
And once I had that diagnosis, I saw the orthopedic surgeon in town, and he said, your season of sports is over. You need to basically eventually get full reconstructive surgery, because there's no stability there. And so I knew that sports was over at that point. It changed the whole course of basically my athletic career, or onward in college. If I even wanted to participate in college, it was basically gone. So eventually, the orthopedic surgeon said, your only option right now is to get full reconstructive surgery. So they cut another part of my tendon, and they sutured it and basically formed a new tendon or a new ligament within the knee. Now, as I was going through the process of recovery in the right knee, I went through physical therapy for about 6 months, and I was in chronic pain during that whole time. And I did as much as I could to kind of rehab, followed all the instructions, and I would often follow up with the orthopedic surgeon every 2 weeks or 3 weeks or so, and I would always tell the orthopedic surgeon, I'm still in a lot of pain. Is there a way I can manage this? And the answer I remember very vividly was, well, we can't predict what's going to happen in the future, but you may have to experience this pain onward, in the future. In the meantime, why don't you take this medication called oxycodone?
Ooh.
And I heard about that medication, but with some of my other classmates. But basically, as you know, that medication during that time was heavily prescribed. Exactly. And there's actually a Netflix show about it, and it's actually a silent killer. During that time, it was an epidemic. Yes. And so I kept on taking it, and
all it did was... So we're talking the mid-90s now? 95?
Mid-90s, 1995. Yeah. Okay. Actually 1994. Okay. And into 1995. And that's all he would prescribe. Every single time I would come back, it was just always more medication. And even with the medication, it would numb me out, but the pain was ongoing. And every single time when I would sit for a prolonged period of time in class, it would start getting more painful, and it eventually started radiating up into my back. So then I had chronic lower back issues because it affected the mechanics of my body. And the only thing that they tried to address it was with pain meds. Fortunately,
that potentially became addictive.
Yes.
As it is for many, right?
Exactly. And I started basically building a tolerance for it. I just started taking it, thinking that was the solution. And I was just a junior in high school. I didn't know otherwise. And when I started to ask around, my brother-in-law during that time, unfortunately, like I said, it kind of led me on this journey. He was going to chiropractic college out here in Portland, Oregon. Okay. And he was in his second year into chiropractic college. And when I called him up and I said, because I knew he was going in through the healthcare field, I asked him some of the questions about chiropractic, because I wasn't sure what it was all about. It was still new to me. And he told me that you should look into it because there's other natural ways. If you continue heading towards this path of medication, especially with oxycodone, it will be a path that you will not return back from.
Good advice.
And that was the realization.
Good advice.
Yes, huge.
Really. Yes. Even then, early, good advice. Even then. Yeah.
Yes. And then another moment in time during that time was I had a speaker on career day, and he was a chiropractor. And so he came in and he talked about also chiropractic, and I started asking him questions. So all these events kind of started leading me on this journey that maybe the path of the routine medical with the medication was not the path that was designed for me.
It's meant to be, Doc. Things happen coincidental and you acted on it, right?
Absolutely. And so those moments in time was basically the catalyst that kind of shifted me towards the direction of where I am today. Ultimately, eventually, my brother-in-law convinced me to just learn more about the chiropractic, go into that journey. And eventually I actually went to school with him out here, got my undergraduate studies in human biology at Penn State, and eventually came out here to become a chiropractic student. And once I went through the courses of chiropractic and understand more about the human body, I was able to get treated at the health clinic in Portland at the college, learn more about the mechanics of the body, and eventually weaned off of the medication, which I was still on even during that time, and eventually weaned off of the medication, and eventually recovered from my knee condition, my back condition, and it was life-changing.
Unbelievable, so I can relate to this in a way. I'm into natural health in particular. My wife, myself, we are, and have several friends that are docs, but also chiropractic doctors. And so for me, about 10 years ago, probably about 20 years ago, I fell from about this high when I misstepped, fell on my right knee, and I was okay, but gradually the knee became an issue and a problem, and more so. And at the same time, I was going to the gym and it became an issue. So I had a knee replacement done on my knee by a doc in Arizona, actually, Phoenix, Arizona. And so, the a total knee replacement. And so the amazing part is that I'm still very involved in the gym. And actually, I'm the oldest competitive bodybuilder in North America. And I wrote a book about it. I'm 85 years young.
Amazing.
And here's the picture of the book. This picture of me. And so I'm again competing, getting ready for 2026 competing. So I started competing here in northern British Columbia after had my knee replacement done, and then competed competition here. Bodybuilding and physique came in second, bodybuilding third in physique. That qualified me for the provincials. Then after that, about the same. Then I competed on the nationals and qualified for the Arnolds. And then COVID came. And so now again, I'm training at 85 and have been training since 2009, really, again, getting ready for the Arnolds with my knee, replacement knee. And I can, if I go into the gym, and this has been replaced for 10 years now, and I do probably more strength training at 85 than most of the people at 40 or 30 are doing. And sometimes I look at my knee and I think this thing is going to snap, but it isn't. Right. And it has done well. And they did it in such a way, they put some of the things in there that they do on sport injury for athletes that want to continue to be athletes. That's how they did my knee. And I find it absolutely, totally amazing. But what it did also for me and my wife, who's a vegetarian, and so am I now. I'm 80-20 and likely more closer to 90-10, both her and me. And I go to the gym 4 times a week, do strength training at my age because, and that's why I wrote the book, How to Thrive, and even in your mid-80s, everything is possible.
Right.
And then the other thing, be very much into natural health and chiropractic health as well. So I do get infusions of vitamins on a weekly basis, chiropractor. And so the critical part for me as a layperson has been, and same for my wife, is that quality of life is critical. That means, diet and exercise. So what I try to do, just running this by you and at least to get an idea of what I'm doing at my age, I always make sure I sleep 7 to 9 hours a night.
Yes.
The first thing that I do when I wake up, I drink 10 ounces of water. And then I usually have 3 eggs and an avocado. Then I go to the gym at around 11, and then I have a double protein drink there. That is my lunch. Do mid-morning, mid-afternoon, a small protein drink, healthy one, and the same in the afternoon, and then have more protein in the evening. And then, as I said earlier, I need to understand as a layperson my body. And so we read about it a lot, we talk to docs, but for the average individual, it is not how old am I, it's quality of life that counts. And even at 85, I still have, and it's not about that, but I have 10 different companies. I'm very active in podcasting. I'm an author as well. So I'm a very busy individual, and I love it. But what is the most important for me is to understanding my body and getting advice from chiropractors and especially natural, because docs are hard to come by, and the system here is not working well for being preventive or preemptive. And those are things that I like to talk to you about. And you have your clinics and Access Healthcare health centers, both in Portland and Beaverton, Oregon. And so it appears to me that it does not only deal with, as you say, car accident victims, potentially chronic pain and structural imbalances, but also in terms of quality of life is so critically important now.
Yes, I totally agree 100%. It is truly about quality of life. As a chiropractic holistic practitioner, my focus is we see a lot of individuals with acute pain, but my passion is really individuals with chronic related pain, the ones that have been suffering for years, and they've tried many other options, and they've basically had restrictions in terms of further improvement, and therefore affecting their quality of life. It could be just simply not being able to sleep at night, or not being able to walk a few steps because of the chronic related conditions. When individuals comes in here, my primary mission, first and foremost, is to understand the root cause of the condition or conditions, and therefore, if we can help them address it from the cause, and then therefore set them on a plan of care to, like you made mention, improve their quality of life. That is our mission within the community.
And the interesting part about it, Doc, is that I believe we still at the very early stages of what is happening in Canada, and I believe to a certain extent the same in the United States. It's critical to understand your body, and it is complicated to get to know it because there is so much money and meds and then money relating to solving problems around medical issues that a lot of people rely on handful of chemicals that they put in their body that may fix one thing but create other problems elsewhere, and people not understanding it simply, and information not being available the way it should. And I believe that's why this kind of a podcast to me is so critically important, because I'm going through it. I was part of it. And so at 85, I love what I'm doing. I'm very active. I'm healthy to the best of my knowledge. But the key for me is, how do I stay there? Even for people that are healthy, how do I get advice? So the other part that we do is every 18 months I get a full body MRI, and then I work with my chiropractor doc in terms of vitamins, infusions, and then also on plasma, or they get infusions that clear my blood. You will know what it is, to make sure that that area of my body is good. So how does the lay person understand already the obvious is not complicated? Do not eat chemicals or things that are not good for you. Like, I do all the shopping for my wife, myself, and if I go to a store, I always shop on the outside, inside the store, because all the aisles are usually processed or super processed food with small letters on it. If I don't know what is in it, I don't want it. We stay on the predominantly organic greens on the outside. Right. Is important.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're doing absolutely the right things. And those are actually some of the things that I recommend for our patients as well. But from a standpoint of what you've asked about for the layperson, having my foundation as a chiropractor, but focusing on structural correction, oftentimes I I inform the community, individuals that come to the office. Also, when I do educational seminars for the community, I let them know that the reason why we have a spine or a structure within our spine is to protect our nervous system. And our nervous system is the master control of our whole body. It keeps us alive. So if we can optimize or improve the structure of our spine, because there's natural ranges within our spine that should be well maintained, due to day-to-day stress with repetitive stress, especially now being on the computer or on the phone, where now it's everybody's on the phone with their head being bent forward. The condition can turn into what's called text neck. This is just an example.
Yeah.
So when people lose the integrity of their structure of their spine, losing the natural curves within their neck, for example, then it leads to the nerve being weak. And our brain is the epicenter. And so from there, it flows down into through the spinal cord and then out into the nerve roots, affecting every living cell, tissue, and organ within our entire body. So if we understand the structure of the spine, and the way I do it is, I just like you may mention, you have the MRI. Well, what I do is for all of our patients, they come in, if we consult with them, understand about their overall history, how their health is in terms of their current status, but I take X-rays, the neck, the mid back, or the lower back. I want to see the structure of the spine, where it's at, and then how it's affecting the nervous system. And then from there, we can see what can be done to improve the structure of the spine. And we have methods of doing that, so that therefore we optimize that nervous system, that control center from the brain through the rest of the body.
So correct me if I'm wrong then, Doc, is that if I say I do an MRI, at least in Canada, it's very expensive and I pay for it myself. It's not part of a plan. Maybe it's the same in the States, but as you know, Canada is a universal healthcare system, and it is limited to what is included and what isn't. I do that for the purpose of knowing the inside of my body, but at the same time, what you're doing is in a more effective and cost-effective way is by doing scans. Is as effective, but it focuses more on the direct areas. Is that correct?
That is correct. The digital X-rays, it's definitely more cost effective, especially in the United States. The healthcare system is different. Definitely there is different. And of course, MRIs, it's advanced imaging. So it detects more information as it relates to pressure on the disc, any inflammation, any other pathologies. But from a standpoint of, I always start off with X-rays, because the X-rays gives us a structural information in terms of what the spine looks like. You can also detect changes in structural distortions, where it's like loss in neck curvature, scoliosis, curvatures within the spine, imbalances in the pelvis or hips. All those is so important to kind of see what may be affecting the nervous system. So that's crucial for us to understand.
So the key then becomes, as you already do in your specialty, but usually in cases where people that approach you have pain issues or post-car accident issues or other issues, but I believe where there is opportunity now, more so, is that here in Canada, and maybe to a certain extent in the United States as well, but in Canada, finding docs is difficult. Naturopathic docs is also a challenge. And correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I know about naturopathic doctors like you, with all your credentials, the naturopathic doctors are specializing in other areas, but their studies are just as intense as they are for a medical doctor, but specializing more on natural and other specialties that you do. So, but there is always a shortage here of docs and specialties and nurses and And so where do we go from here is that if we want quality of life, which everybody does, they will say, but then if we are not well understanding it, and obviously the medical, financial side of the medical system is the people that produce drugs, it's a racket to a certain extent. And every time you look at a TV, they are advertising this, then that, and all the other things. But simply understanding it does not have to be overly complicated, is that your body has to be moving. I'm not saying that you should become a bodybuilder and an Olympian, but at least walk or stay and then do some strength training, which you virtually can do at home, but understand that your body has to be active. And then the more you do of that and the more of the basics you do already in terms of diet, what they will say is all of a sudden they say, hey, Braxton, a doctor, or hey, John, what are you doing? You look great. And so once somebody gets to that point, that hopefully gives them the incentive to say, the things that I can do, sleep, well, sleep is critically important. And then understand what you're putting into your body is critically important. And you have to move or be mobile, and you need to get expert advice in case you have no particular issues, maybe, but just to be proactive. I find my naturopathic doc, helps me with making sure that my vitamins that I need are critically important. I get an infusion, in my case, maybe overdoing it, maybe not, but at least once a week. And to understand my body is critically important.
I totally agree. Everything that you said, it's key. As you probably heard the term, your body's your temple, right? You got to treat it accordingly. And so whatever you put in is going to turn into whatever it's going to become. But if you protect it and put in the right things, protect whatever you have, it's going to be for the better. And so some of the key elements you made mention is to putting the right products within your body, whether it's going through the grocery stores, putting in non-processed foods rather than the processed versions. You mentioned about the infusion, the natural infusion with the vitamins and minerals within the body, and trying to keep as active as possible. All key things. Our body's designed to move. It's not designed to be sedentary in one position for prolonged periods of time. And so the more active you are, the better off you're going to be in terms of, and it helps you with not only the physical part, but the emotional. It improves your energy and de-stresses you. So movement is so vital. So everything that you just stated, I am 100% in agreement with that. Absolutely. And, from a natural side, it's important to focus on that.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that what I find a lot of times, like in my case, I'm the oldest competitive bodybuilder in North America at 85, but at the same time, what I'm saying is everything is possible. And so for me, in 2008, up to that point, I was going to the gym, but I did what most other people do. At the end of the year, I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing, and then I'm going to buy a membership to a gym, and then 2 weeks later, I can find 100 reasons why I'm too busy to go to the gym. And so, but I knew I had to change that. I had a case of diverticulitis, and that, and in my case, for the people watching us, diverticulitis, you're the doc, I'm not, but if it hurts on the right side, it's probably appendix, and the left side it could well be the colon, and diverticulitis, and usually the doc would advise get some green food and all of those kind of things. In my case, it breached, and so and the toxins went through my body, and then I have a limited amount of time until something bad will happen. And so I got to the hospital. They took out 20 centimeters of my colon, and my doc said to me, I was well over 48 hours, and my doc said to me, you came this close. And so then I knew I had to change direction. I was doing not too bad, but I had to go the next step. And fortunately, from 2009 forward, I started going to the gym. I love going to the gym. And the reason that I do, because I see the results that you're referring to. I feel better physically. I have more energy. I feel better about myself. My emotions, my brain is more active, all those other things. And I love doing that. And it's so important for others. They say, no, I don't like that, do that. I'm too old. And no, you're not. So it makes you feel better, and then the ultimate is quality of life.
Yes. Well, you're perfect testament to that. There, I mean, a prime example, 85, being so active, a competitive bodybuilder. I mean, you're the epitome of that. So, prime example, and improved quality of life. And it just, even as you age, it's always time. You just got to set your mind to it and just take the proactive steps of doing so.
And take it one step at a time. It doesn't
Right.
mean you have to go right away. No, start with a friend, start walking. And then at home, you can do a certain amount of things. And I believe it does not have to be complicated, so that, and I believe that's why programs like with you on my podcast that are being seen around the world, are so important. And that's so important in my life. And having your story as being part of that is very, very important. So our podcast is a little bit on the short side because I have a commitment here pretty soon. And I want to stay in touch with you. And for all the people watching us, subscribe to our podcast, both Dr. Braxton and mine. Dr. Braxton has clinics and access health centers in both locations in Portland and in Beaverton, Oregon. Have you got a website, Doc?
Yes, I do. It's Access Health Centers with an S at the end.com.
Okay, so the Dr. Braxton Nguyen, it was a pleasure. We have to stay in touch. And as I said earlier again, being preemptive, it doesn't matter, but understand your body. And I found from my experiences, as I shared already with you, but my naturopathic dogs are part of my life and part of longevity in terms of discussing what I'm doing, even if I don't have necessarily a particular issue, but just for the cases of understanding my body better, and then obviously with the objective of longevity, because at the end of the day, it's all about quality of life, and there is no health reasons that you can. And myself at 85, I'm still very, very active in doing a lot of things. I'm an author, I'm obviously a podcaster, and I get up at 5:30 in the morning, every morning, and then I always make my bed, and I always think I'm late. And once I get outside, I say, I live in paradise, and I do, and we all do, so. Dr. Braxton, it was a pleasure to have you on my show. Let's make sure we stay in touch. And this podcast will be released within 2 hours. I release it as it was presented. I don't edit it. It is what it is. And we share it with the rest of the world within 2 hours.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Dr. Braxton, it was a pleasure.
Likewise, I was glad to meet you and so glad to be on your show. Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.